showed on television because the chief was going on and on about the about how brave they are. Then he mentioned that the police officers was black, and the whole mood from the media changed. The whole mood. This is when all the suspicion, the suspect questions started coming up about the police officers. Now the black police officers on trial now. They was charged with murder. There was two black police officers. Now they both charged with murder, and they waiting for trial to come up. I just thought it was relevant to the conversation.
The case that you're talking about, it was a black police sergeant, I believe, and they're claiming that he
yes, sir.
They're claiming that he kind of finagled the paperwork to be able to basically give them permission to do the raid, even though everything wasn't actually in order. But then again, these damn things are never, they do this to black folk every single day, and it ain't a problem. And yet, if it happens to white folk, all of a sudden there's an investigation. All of a sudden, the exact same circumstances that the white police have been doing the whole time. When a black police officer tries it, all of a sudden, nobody's talking about back the badge. Nobody's talking about how if you don't back the police, it'll lead to public anarchy. It'll lead to death in the streets. It'll lead to lawlessness everywhere. Nobody says that kind of talk when it's time to defend black police officers. All of a sudden ain't no defense. So what it tells you is back the badge is just another name for white supremacy. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get a caller from area code 469. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
John from Dallas.
John from Dallas, what's on your mind?
I don't have the most popular opinion about this. What I see is every time one of these things happen, I look to see what the local response is. I'm saying, okay, what are y'all going to do about it? Because I can look to Los Angeles, I can look to Milwaukee, I can look to Baltimore, and I can look to Ferguson, and I can see what they at least did. Now, long-term solution is going to be the same for everyone, but most of the places these things happen, the response is, to put it mildly, underwhelming. You even have that situation, I forgot who, but in Pennsylvania, the DA was exposing white supremacists and ended up getting tried and found guilty on some trumped-up charges, and they sent him to prison. And yet the black people in Pennsylvania should have shut that state down. They didn't. So what that tells me is you got people like Judge Olu Stevens, who's obviously a writer, but I'm not seeing much of a reaction from the Louisville people. And if I don't see a reaction from them, and especially if I don't see any economic development, you're not going to change anything. You're just going to vent and cry and whatever.
Well,
and then it's going to go back to the status quo.
I mean, here's the thing about it, though. There's something that we have to take into account here. The nation has to learn how to do this because you're dealing with a bunch of young black folk who have been told that they can integrate. They have been told that by their parents that there is no racism. They've been told by their parents that as long as you focus on footwear, that's all you need. They've been told by their grandparents, pray on it. So understand, we're dealing with a nationwide educational effort. Because it's not the kind of thing that we are going to be, everybody's not on the same page about that because it's not the kind of thing that people are being taught generationally. It's not the kind of thing they're being taught generationally. Now, I'm not expecting everybody, think about it like in that Louisville area, for example. You got to understand, you've got folk who, in the case of the fact you got Olu Stevens there, show me a place in New York, in California, in Detroit, hell, in Ferguson. Show me where you got an Olu Stevens on the bench there. So what you've got a black folk who get it. This man got in at the very reason that this young man was able to go home was because the folk in Louisville got a judge like him in there. And it's very few places where we can show that to you around the country where you got black folk in a position to be able to do that, and then they do it. He wouldn't be doing that if he didn't have the backing of the people. So what I'm saying is, I understand what you're saying. There's an education that needs to go on, and the other issue here is, as we go from one place to another, you're correct. We need to see what they're going to do about it. But quite frankly, I don't look for black folk in the streets. That's something I've told y'all about forever. I'm not looking for black folk in the streets. I'm not looking for black folk marching. I'm not looking for any of that. We saw in Dallas, we saw in Baton Rouge, we saw in New York City when the Saints came marching in. We saw when the Saints came marching in Dallas. There was a march, but it didn't really require it. In Baton Rouge, another one of the Saints, it didn't require it. In New York, another one of the Saints, it didn't require it. When the spirit of Nat Turner shows up, it doesn't require us to be out there in the streets. So I'm much less concerned about black folk protesting in the streets and whatnot. When I say what you're going to do about it, I want to see three things. I want to see money moving. I want to see black empowerment discussion moving. And I want to see people getting serious about Tool Up. That's what I want to see. So I can understand that there's a desire to see people, in the streets and whatnot. There's a desire to see that, and I get it. But what I want to see is over time, because it's not something that happens overnight. And furthermore, it wouldn't be something I want to happen immediately like that anyway. Waking people up is a process. And you all know I'm uncompromising about it. Well, I'm going to see what they're going to do about it. Right now, you got the two things going on. You got your clergy, and I've seen some of them out there. You got the clergy soft-shoeing it, and, this wasn't right. This was a good woman. Okay, all that mess right there. It's not about talking about Breonna. It's talking about the police. So you've got that going on. What happens in a lot of cases here, and this is why I created the Black Channel, what happens is a lot of folk are waiting for leadership. Because in those smaller places like that, the leadership has been the clergy. The leadership has been the political structure. You've had dead silence from both. Your political structure and your clergy are dead silent. And I want the young black folk to understand. They were told by their parents that there was a clergy and a political structure that was going to protect their interests. And what these young black people are finding out is, I'll be damn, I'm ass out here on my own with a bunch of old niggas telling me that if the police run up on me, I'm supposed to just get shot, and don't worry, Jesus will either deflect the bullets or you'll get spirited to the afterlife quickly. Okay, now you got to make a decision if that's the way you're trying to go. It's as simple as that. So I'm a little lenient where that's occurred. I'm going to wait back to see what they do. But what we'll do, I don't really think we need to have another thing like Ferguson. I don't really think we need to have another thing like Baltimore. Of course, I don't disapprove. But I want to know what we're going to do after we get out them streets. And what I'm saying is situations like the Saints marching, that's the thing you do when you get out the streets. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get a caller from area code 312. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's going on? My name is Dame. I'm calling from Chicago, Illinois.
Dame from Chicago. What's on your mind?
I agree with you.
Okay, nigga, did you get mugged?
Excuse me?
Okay, you okay over there? You started talking and then you got muffled. Are you getting mugged out there? Do we need to send help? Do we need to send backup? Are you okay?
No, I'm cool. I was just sitting up. I'm actually paralyzed, so I move around a certain way. So
Okay,
I'm sorry about that.
I called him up there. All right, I just want to make sure you are all right, because you started talking and then you got muffled. I'm like, damn, they got him.
Oh, no. I just moved a certain way because I'm in the same position. But I was listening to the show what you was talking about, and I agree with you 1,000%. I'm a young man myself. I'm 28, and a lot of stuff we see going on that we get targeted left and right, and we've been lied to by our parents and by these elders. Most of us just basically saying fucking and take matters in our own hands. Excuse my French, but
what they have to understand
that's
is
just the truth.
I want young black people. I want the young black folk, those of you in your 30s, your 20s, your teens. I want you all to understand the gravity of the situation that you are actually in. Not the one you wish you were in, not the one your parents have led you or misled you to believe that you're in. I want you to understand the gravity of what you are really in. Laquan McDonald is the get down with the Chicago Police Department, and Lori Lightfoot ain't said a damn thing about what they gonna do about
and
that.
you know what, sis? You know what? And you know what's crazy about that, because I actually grew up with Kwame McDonald. You know, we actually grew up in the same neighborhood. So, and trust me, this ain't the first time that they be talking us like this. You know what I'm saying? And I really don't have no respect for no Lori Lightfoot. Anyway, she definitely ain't for us. So she definitely a puppet of the white supremacists, and and she can't be trusted. So
I've been
with none of them.
now. I've been to Chicago. I was all over the South Side. I'm going to tell folk here, the South Side of Chicago is a poor place, but it's not what they show you on the media. They'll have you sitting on the media thinking it's damn me, Beirut, and it's not. I've been to the South Side of Chicago. It's a poor place, I will say that. It's like any rural poor place in Louisiana, but that's what it is. And what they've been doing is they've been systematically across the board, economically, socially, and physically moving black folk. If you all saw my film Gentrified, I was showing you on the South Side of Chicago where the city basically going street by street with their everything's a community improvement program. Can't improve a damn thing for the folk who live there. Oh no. We edging you out. We're gonna build. I showed you they built that shopping. They built that shopping center right next to King Kennedy College, right across the street from that. And they're only gonna do that if they can make sure you get moved out of the place. So as young black people, if they can't, the other part of the environment though is to make it where there's an environment of terrorism. As young black people, to make sure that you are physically destabilized.
Most definitely. Most definitely. You're right. Hey, look, you're right about that though. Because out south they do pour money into certain economic places where they do move a lot of black folks out. Because I am from the west side of Chicago. And I know I know some in the Garfield Park area. It's a prime real estate over there, and they really and all those old project builds used to be up. They built high-rise condos and put in Whole Foods there. So, and it's basically to move us, about the neighborhoods.
They started.
Yeah, so you absolutely right about that.
For those who don't, like I say, look, I don't want to get too off in the woods here, but you reminded me, like, for example, Lakeside. Folk who live in Chicago know what Lakeside is. Everybody who the rest of you around the country, you have no damn idea where Lakeside is. The folk in Chicago, y'all know about Lakeside. When they started all of that right outside of downtown, all I can say is you saw it in my film. I really should probably go back and go curve that goes around downtown. And with that big curve that goes around downtown, and then once you pull out of that, there's a great big ass park. And then right past that, it looks like what most of you would associate with being a college area. Small apartments and stuff like that, and it's like 2-lane streets by the time you get up there. Real closed off, but you can tell it was created and developed to be one of these areas where you can walk around and all that stuff. It ain't really made to be driven through, to be totally honest. You walk around like that. And Lakeshore, you can't walk around. They're talking about this Lakeshore Drive. You can't really walk around. You can't really drive around like that. You can really only walk around like that. And when they started developing those things, and then when they started building the condos down there, when they started doing that, I was sitting there looking at it then like it was one of those things where you're like, I don't think you can build a whole lot more than that. Yeah, you can. Actually, yeah, you can. And they're going off the New York City model. Now, why am I speaking about this? I'm speaking about it because I didn't see any black folk up there. thing I'm taking a look at. Anyway, it is that Parkway. I said Lakeside. It might be Lake Shore. It's been a few years since I've been there. That Parkway that goes all the way through downtown. It curves real big before you get to downtown. There's the river separating it. They hold Lollapalooza down there. It's got the great big
Lake Shore.
It's got that great big bean down there. Is where they have Lollapalooza. So they got the great big bean. I'm just validating this so everybody knows he's not making this up. It's downtown. You can see the great big ass beam from there. If you keep going, then you go where I want to say where White Sox Stadium is. If you keep going down there, you'll be at the sports complex where White Sox Stadium is at. If you keep driving.
Okay.
So I know what I was seeing. I know I was on that one. It's been a few years, it's been like 4 or 5 years since I was there. But if I'm saying Lakeside, my mistake, Lake Shore. And I'm saying that because I was looking around and I'm looking to see if black folk can even afford the real estate there. And when you get in that area, it's nothing but white folk there. And what I'm saying is I'm looking around and I didn't see the police up there. However, I did see them Midtown, and I didn't see them on the south side either, not during the day. You see them at night, but not during the day. Now, the reason why this is all significant to me is because what that tells me is those areas have effectively been settled and colonized now. And all they really do is go around to see if they can grab any black males, whatever. If they can catch one of you slipping like that, that's what that tells me. They've already effectively colonized those. They've economically colonized it to the point that they don't even really need the police there like that. It reminds me of Manhattan, to be totally honest. And I bring that up to say, the only thing I'm not surprised that a Laquan McDonald would happen, and I'm very, very much not surprised that you've got Lori Lightfoot sitting in office and nobody's addressing that. So when I take a look at Chicago, as I said with the previous caller, when I ask, what are you going to do about it? The next thing I want to see is what are black folks in Chicago going to do about Lori Lightfoot? Because right now, they have 2 phases of militarized terrorism of black people. Number 1 is shooting black folk. Number 2 is mass incarceration. And if you do get to a point where the white supremacist powers are still in charge, but they're not gunning you down in the streets, it's because they've moved on to the next part, like New York City and New York State. And they just got this mass incarceration infrastructure in place. In Chicago, for those of you who don't know, there was a story that was put out a few years ago about these police black sites in Chicago, where they've got these mass structures up there in Chicago. They're not marked as being part of the police department, but they're basically black sites where you can get arrested and they take your ass there. No police markings on it, no nothing. No police markings, no anything. And they've got, from what I was reading, they got like half a dozen of them, although I'm sure they may have more than that. But they basically got these
they got way more than that.
They basically got these police black sites up there in Chicago now, already, where they're arresting black folk and can take them. You think you going downtown. Oh, no, nigga, we going somewhere else. We're going somewhere else. No, not the CIA, the Chicago Police Department. You all can go Google this one for yourselves. The Chicago Police Department has black sites up there where they are arresting people and taking them, not taking them they don't have to take them to the police station. They're sitting up here taking them to these buildings with no markings on them, just a gate, no markings, no anything. You thought they were building an office space.
Well, I was talking to one before, and when I got arrested, they took me to a building, and I'm like, man, I asked them, like, man, what the hell is this? I'm like, what is this? It's definitely crazy.
You're thinking you're going downtown, and what I'm saying is, on the one hand, you got police who are going out there shooting folk, and if they're not doing that, it's because the other form of mitigation is rounding everybody up, and then you just wake up one day and there's this huge prison industrial complex that was built right under your feet. What I'm telling you is the mayor of Chicago knows where all this stuff is. They have to because they're the ones who appoint the damn police chief. I want you all to understand the manner in which these things move. I'll let you have the last word.
I definitely want to give you a shout out because you do speak the hardcore truth on all issues that we're going through in this time, and you definitely tell young folks like myself the truth, the hardcore game. There's something that my own parents didn't tell me about, or they didn't explain to me about, or they didn't take the time out to explain to me about. So I always listen to your show, and trust me, and by the Black channels here, it is some progress going to be made.
Well, thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Please do give us a call again. Brothers, you can go Google that for yourselves if you want to. I'm not making that up. Folk in the chat room are seeing they Googled it and they're surprised. You can be arrested in Chicago and damn giving you a phone call. Who are you going to call for help if you don't even know where you are? Folks, who are you going to call for help and you don't even know where you're at? You don't even know where you are. That's in Chicago. Now, do you think they rounding up Asians in Chicago down there in Chinatown? Do you think that they're rounding up Asians down there in Russiatown, in Little Russia in Chicago, which is right next to Little Chinatown? Do you think they're rounding up Russians and taking them down there? I'm trying to get you to understand why you're looking at Louisville and talking about we would get more buck than them. I want you to understand, by the way, you in the jaws of the beast up there with your black LGBT mayor and y'all got damn me black sites. I wonder if any of the white folk down there in them condos in the walking district of Lakeshore, I wonder if any of them, when they get a DUI, I wonder if any of them end up at a damn black site. I'm just wondering if that's ever happened. And by the way, one more frightening thing for you. Chicago is not the only city that has this. By the way, Chicago is not the only place that has it. They're not the only ones. Caller from area code 917. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's happening, brother? This is Matthew from New York, and I just had a message I wanted to give, particularly for the young black men, the young, sensible black men out there. Please, brother, take up arms. I don't care if you live in a non-gun state. Please do so. I mean, they're gunning us down already as it is. You might as well go out late. Do not go out on your knees. Protect you and your family. Please do so. And in regards to those black houses, you are absolutely right. Police around this country have annual meetings and stuff, like different chiefs from all different states and counties. If one is doing something like that, trust me, they're all doing it. Clearly, they're doing it. That's all I want to say.
Well, thank you very much for giving us a call. Now, somebody just said that you can't carry in New York. Let me tell you something right now. Folks are carrying all over New York City. Folks is carrying in New York City. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't carry in New York City. Folks is carrying all over New York City. They're carrying all over New York City. You sitting up here waiting till the last damn minute. Folks are carrying all over New York City. What the hell are you talking about, man? What the hell? White folk are carrying guns all over New York. I ain't talking about black folk. I'm not talking about the gutter. I'm not talking about the hood. White folk are carrying guns all over New York City. Hold on a second now. White folk are carrying guns all over New York. You gonna act like you invented the firearm? White folk is carrying guns all over that place. Please. They carrying guns all over and telling you what you don't need to do. They carrying guns all over New York City and telling you what you don't need to do. I want you to keep that in mind. They tell it that's for you. They're telling you what you can't do. Don't look at what they're doing, though. Caller from area code 773. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
TVA, this is Chris Thomas out of Chicago.
Chris Thomas out of Chicago. What's on your mind,
brother? Brother, you're right on point. I mean, I was just arguing with my coon-ass uncle literally 30 minutes before your show came on. And, we were talking about the situation with Breonna Taylor and whatnot. And he said, quote unquote, he was saying that he wished black people would care as much when white cops kill black people as when black people kill black people.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's unbelievable, TVA. And I'm like, well, so does that justify it? I mean, so I'm just so tired of that argument. I'm sick and tired of this black on black crime. And I told them all races kill each other.
No, brother, what I'm saying,
that's what you're proud of it.
What he demonstrated to you is the reason that Malcolm didn't make more progress than he did. What he demonstrated to you is why Chicago is really one of the super major transportation hubs of America. It's a very strategically placed city. There's a reason why UPS has its hub there. Chicago is a major transportation hub, and black folk ain't got no ownership in it. He demonstrated to you why that is. Exactly what he just said. He's sitting up here telling you, I mean, when some nigga says that to y'all, I want y'all to say, so if you get shot tomorrow by the police, then that means that we shouldn't respond or anything, because by your own admission, we should be more concerned about black folks shooting each other than if the police shoot your big old raggedy ass. That's what you all should say to somebody who says that. So if the police shoot you tomorrow, you're telling us we shouldn't say nothing for you because we should focus more on black folks shooting each other. So if the police shoot you, oh well, tough nuts. That's your ass. Now, I wonder if you can get him to agree to that, by the way. Get him to sign off on that one. Well, yeah, I mean, if the police shoot me, I wish y'all would get as excited about about black folks shooting each other as the police shooting me. That ain't no real big issue. You should worry about that. So, like I say, and the other thing is, this is a nigga that's never done nothing in his life. You don't even have to tell me. There's no woman who has ever depended on him for her protection and providing. There's no business that's ever had to depend on him for a damn thing. This is a defeated, old, decrepit, butt-broken bastard. And his whole generation as a rule, that's that generation. And that generation is looking at you and yours, and they're upset because when you start talking like this, what you're really saying, and that's why he's responding with such offense, is you're saying, what the hell did y'all do about these police? Well, y'all really need to be worried about what's happening out here on these streets. Okay, what'd you do about that too? So he wants respect, but he knows he hasn't actually done anything to earn it. So he's getting upset when you start asking obvious questions. What the hell is going on here? He wants to deflect from the subject because he knows he hasn't done anything. And he knows when you make those statements, that's hitting close to home. If the police are out here rampaging on black folk, the first thing you're going to start asking, what the hell did his generation do? He knows full well. Look, a lot of y'all got to understand. A lot of folk are getting mad at Bobby Rush right now. And I've been talking about Bobby Rush for years. Folks thought they were out of the prime, that they avoided the fire with Barack Obama when Bobby Rush was able to beat him back. And then you find out, no, it wasn't really like that. It wasn't really like that. It's flip sides of the coin. So when you start talking about some of these old supposed black radicals, Black Panthers, black militants, then you take a look at Bobby Rush. And those are your black militants. You take a look at Bobby Rush, those are your black radicals. If you want to know why it is they allowed him to get in the office, those are your black militants right there. So I want you all to understand what you're really looking at and what you really see. But dude, I'm just glad that your uncle has exposed himself and shown you that he ain't nothing you want to emulate, and it's better you get it sooner rather than later, so that you understand that when things